Welcome to our 2022 review and our 2023 State of the Firm. I'm here with the President of Valmark, Callahan. I'm Larry Rybka, the CEO, and we'd like to look back at our results for last year, but more importantly, look forward to some of our goals and go over input that we got from our member firms as part of a survey that we recently conducted. So before we get into that, 2023 is a year of some significance for Valmark. 60 years ago, my dad, Lawrence S. Rybka, started at the time what was a scratch agency with Minnesota Life in Cleveland, Ohio. And 60 years later, it's grown into something way beyond what he would have dreamed or I would have dreamed when I started with him 35 years ago. So it's great to celebrate this anniversary, but more importantly, look forward to the future. As I think back of some significant events that have got us to where we are, one is celebrating 25 years of starting a CFP program with the University of Akron. It's the second longest running CFP program in a finance department of a major university. We've gotten some great people through the years, including
I'm glad you did it.
Caleb Callahan, Michael McClary. It is just something that really is the core nucleus of the professionals that serve our member firms and their clients. Then also looking back, 20 years ago, we started the first all-exchange traded fund investment option that many of our firms know as TOPS, or the Optimized Portfolio System. And again, I think back when we first started, everybody said, oh, well, no one will buy that. You need a manager. But looking back, much of the industry has followed, and I guess close to half of all of investments industry-wide are passively managed, and many of them exchange-traded funds. So those are some pretty good highlights looking back. Now let's look a little more recently at some of our accomplishments for last year.
Well, I think overall it was a good year for the member firms of Valmark. It was our second most profitable year, even though the markets were not what anyone wanted them to be. A lot of the planning tools and things that we have worked together with our member firms to help give their clients confidence was really the story of last year. Net flows were up. And were greater than equity market declines. And I think a lot of that goes to the member firms and the job that they've done just helping the clients with planning. We had a great year for recruiting.
Yep. Some great new firms joined us that keep us growing as a firm and allow us to continue to serve existing firms and keep our momentum. I think I agree with you. You have to look back at 2022 in a year where both equity and bond indexes went down. To hold our level of assets constant was a good result. And I think you've really focused on the importance of making sure our internal teams are aligned. What are some of our key accomplishments there?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is our engagement score with our staff is at an all-time high, and that was through, like we talked about, a very difficult market. We also were awarded a top place to work for the third time in a row in Northeast Ohio, which was a big deal. And then I think these go together, even though it's customers. We had really high net promoter scores, which we'll get into. But I've always believed that happy staff and happy customers go together. If only one of them is happy, the other one won't be soon.
Yes. So again, looking back, the business has continued to grow. I think back to when we started the broker-dealer and the RA. We had our growth level off last year. Again, soft equity markets and if people are making less money or their portfolios are down, they also buy a little less insurance. So all of our businesses topped off a little bit, but still a overall good year. When we look at our member firms individually, though, we look at average production per registered person was up last year, and this compares favorably to just about all of our peer broker dealers. So we have a group of seasoned professionals who have great clients who trust them, and it was up slightly over 2021. And I think a statistic that we don't pay enough attention to is we had zero formal client complaints with FINRA last year. And I've always known our low level of complaints is important, but I found a FINRA statistic that showed the average number of complaints per registered rep. And the average for a firm with the number of reps that we have would be 9. We had 0. And I said to Doug and our compliance team, it's kind of like being goalie in a soccer game. It's goals that don't go in. And you think about there is a significant cost with every one of those client complaints in terms of sometimes it's not covered by E&O, or you have regulators, you have time, and certainly reputational cost. So, boy, I think that just reflects so well on the people who have chosen Valmark as home. So a little bit on the insurance business. Our average case size was up, again, leading with the variable products. I think Valmark is certainly, if not the leading firm in this category, one of them. I think Chris Botaro's team did a wonderful job of just continuing to get adoption with digital and electronic underwriting, whether it's e-signature or electronic submissions. So we saw all of those numbers get better, which allows us to serve customers better. Our policy management company hit 4,300 policies. Again, this is something that is unique to Valmark and makes a real difference in terms of helping to make sure the insurance is doing what it's supposed to do. Valmark was part of pioneering 2 really innovative variable fee or level commission products, and that was a little tougher than we anticipated, but we got some great momentum in that, and that's a differentiator. So Caleb, maybe you can address some of the highlights with the investment business for 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it really continues the theme I mentioned, that despite the fact that equity markets, depending what your benchmark is, down 15 to 20%, that business really held flat. And the story of that is being able to gather on net more flows than inflows than we had outflows, and we more than made up for the equity losses. And that's part of it is the TOPS portfolios actually did pretty well in terms of on average down 13%, rather than a lot of the benchmarks, like I said, 15 to 20. But a lot of it goes to the member firms who have over the years done a wonderful job working with clients to not make the goal the highest rate of return. It's about a financial plan that achieves a certain outcome. And if you can have goals based instead of performance based, when you have markets like this, people are looking at the right thing and they don't panic and pull the money out. And so we actually put more money in than we've ever have in the history of Valmark.
Most net flows in the history of the company.
That's really the story, and it's the asset management and the financial planning team, but the real heroes are the member firms who have done a good job communicating and educating clients.
So much of it is about expectations. So we had some pretty high expectations coming into the year in terms of how our firms see us, and this is now turning to our survey. So we had our largest response ever from our survey of member firms, 350 responses. And the key metric we've looked at is this concept of net promoter score. So Caleb, why don't you handle that?
Yeah, basically net promoter score is essentially how likely are you as a customer to refer Valmark to one of your peers or friends. And depending on how you score the answer 1 through 10 will determine whether you're a net detractor or a net promoter. And you can see on the screen what an market leading net promoter score looks like across various industries. So when you see Valmark coming in at 76 with everyone who took the survey, but 90 with the owners of the firms, I mean, that is off the charts in terms of response. So, we're really thankful that our firms feel that way about us. We work hard to serve them. And it's nice to see it come
translates back into that growth of firms. If firms are happy and they're pleased, and they're talking to a peer who's not so pleased or is concerned about a change in ownership at the firm they're working with, that really sets up the best kind of conversation. It is an actual referral, not just how likely are you actually making that recommendation. Now we look at this across every area of our firm, and we ask department by department, how are we doing? And again, very high scores. 97% of those responding to the survey said that we were either excellent or good. We also asked the question, does Valmark add value to your firm and help you grow your business? And the answer to that was 97%. So, boy, awesome results.
Yeah. I would just add, you talk about having no complaints in the compliance department. Sometimes you can get no complaints by having a compliance department who doesn't let you do anything. But our compliance department scored as high as any department in the whole company. So it really shows it is a pro-consumer, pro-advisor, while still working together to stay out of harm's way.
And again, people who come from another firm where that may not be the case, see the difference at Valmark. So let's talk a little bit about our internship program. This has just been a key of our growth of the company. I talked a little bit about our relationship with the University of Akron. We've now expanded this. We're working with Kent State. We've expanded it to the Twin Cities. So how many interns last year at Valmark?
So we had 28 interns at Valmark. We're now working with 9 different universities, and we're doing that both in Akron and our St. Paul office. And we've actually, about a year ago, for the first time, created an office of the internship inside of Valmark that the sole job is to continuously find candidates that are the right fit for Valmark. And then also it's like a farm team, a feeding agency to help us place staff at our members. So we're really getting a 2-for-1 in that, and we're excited about that growth.
Well, Caleb and I are both involved in Vistage groups, and as we listen to our peer companies, finding people who are right fit hires for any of those firms is the biggest challenge. All of them say, boy, we could grow our business if we had more people, to bring on our staff. So having that group of young people who are interested in the profession, who have worked for us for a year or more, has allowed us to hire a group that is very persistent. So Caleb, let's talk a little bit more about, we have this group of interns, and many of them we make a full-time employment offer to. How's that worked out for us as a company longer term?
Yeah, well, since 2016, we've had about 70% of the interns that we hire, we retain full-time.
Are still with us since 2016. Now, a couple interns of note. We had Nick, who's helping record this, was the intern of the year for the University of Akron. All companies across Northeast Ohio. So this production and some of what you've seen us do on the Valmark YouTube channel, Nick is the guy. So 2 thumbs up for Nick. And then Ryan, when we did our core award voting for all of our internal employees, was the core award winner, one of 2 core award winners that his peers voted him. So it's not just a farm team or people with starting positions. We have young people who are really playing very important roles in what we do day to day.
Yeah, well said.
So Caleb, I drew this diagram. You kind of changed it a little bit. It came from Dan Sullivan and Strategic Coach and going 10X. And I sketched out this diagram of, we really have a number of different businesses that are regulated different ways. The advisory business regulated by SEC, broker-dealer business regulated by FINRA, and an insurance business that is regulated by the state, but it's the intersection of those things. This new nationwide fee-based variable product is a insurance product, it is an advisory product, and it is a broker-dealer product. And figuring out how to innovate and reduce complexity for our firms and their clients at the intersection of that is really the vision of Valmark and has been since we started the broker-dealer and RIA in 1996. So let's just talk a little bit. What are the 4 things that we consistently execute on that are key to our growth and continued success as a company?
Yeah. And you can see the diagram. It's simple. Larry's was a little more sophisticated. I wasn't smart enough.
Complicated. You do a better job of communicating.
So when we talked, it was really 4 things. You can see that in the arrows. If we do them well, continuously bring on new firms. I know that's a huge focus of yours, and I've done a great job on that over the last number of years. Second thing is help the existing firms that are here grow their business. We like to call that getting more juice out of the oranges, helping you grow. The third is it all comes down to staff. If you can recruit the right people and you can retain the right people, you're going to end up doing a better job at the other arrows, which brings me to the 4th arrow, which is creating new services that solve problems that clients have that are accretive to earnings at Valmark. And so, I mean, we mentioned the internship program and Right Fit. We went through life settlements and policy management. I mean, those were all services that didn't exist. There was a problem, and we were able to create a solution to solve that problem. And now they're a way for us to continuously make money and reinvest in the business.
And for our firms to grow additional sources of revenue.
And then the last thing is all built on the entrepreneurial operating system. We're a big believer in having rocks and being accountable. And
measurables.
That's been a big part of how we, I think the word is traction, how you take those arrows and find traction and make progress.
Well, that's really, we've now got about a quarter of our firms implementing EOS. We featured that at our member summit the last couple of years. It really is important. So going back to the survey now and talking about what did our firms tell us, what commitments can we make to them for 2023, what are the key things?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do a lot of things, but there are 5 specific things we want to focus on. The first is growth. We want to help member firms grow. And we're doing that through things like on the insurance side, the advanced markets division under Michael Moya is expanding. We expect that to grow life insurance revenue. With Secure Act 2.0, we're revamping a lot of the financial planning outputs for clients. There's some opportunities that advisors can go and meet with clients. And then really with market volatility, changes in interest rates, we see an opportunity to expand some of our fixed income solutions. So we think things like that, we're going to be able to offer to firms that's going to help them go to clients, add value, and grow their business. Besides growth, we also want to focus on service. Last year was tough, especially in the life insurance space. A lot of the carriers had just challenges, I mean, primarily due to staffing. And so we got backed up almost like bumper cars. And so this year, we're really focused on controlling what we can and reducing that cycle time, increasing that turnaround time. And then in the investment operations business, we've added more people. That business continues to grow, and so we want to shoulder more of the load. So we've added a number of people in the investment operations.
Yeah, it's when we're doing a review, we're now at full staffing, and this is the first time really in 2 years where almost all of our key positions are filled.
Yes.
So it's great to be up to full staff.
Yeah, so you hit on the third one, staffing. I would just say we're going to roll out the Right Fit to help member firms hire more staff. We did that for ourselves, but now we want to help
them get to full staff.
Yes, we see that as a huge opportunity. So that's number 3. You mentioned technology quickly. We've really done, you go back to your diagram with the 3 circles. There's not one technology that does all of those circles well. So a lot of our technology has been homegrown and custom created. And so we're continuing to invest in end-to-end, entirely electronic business processing in all of the businesses. And so you'll see a continued expansion of that. And then lastly is succession. And Caleb Nitz has done a great job working with Ken Inger. And last year we had a record number of member firms document continuity and succession plans. And so we hope to top that this year as a big focus of where we're going to put resources.
Those are some important goals. So one thing that I think is unique to Valmark is the Global Gift Fund. Several years ago, we committed to giving 1/10 of our income to the charitable causes our member firms are involved with. And it's a number of firms that apply for grants every year. And our criterion are you have to be involved yourself, giving money and time. We occasionally get grants. Well, how much are you giving? Nothing. How are you involved? Well, I got a phone call. Well, that would not be somebody we would have a grant to. But if they're on the board donating their time and their treasure, we certainly want to come alongside. And with this year's grants, that total will reach $7.2 million. And it's making a tremendous difference for the communities across the 32 states that we work with. And again, we just feel it's a privilege to look at what our firms are doing and the difference that they are making. Well, that kind of concludes things. Thank you to our member firms for helping us to continue to grow as a firm. Thank you for the referrals to your peers that have joined us. As I think about 60 years as a mile marker, we plan on continuing to keep this business privately held, serving our member firms and your clients, and giving you a platform so that you can continue to bring the golden rule to life. So thanks for your time.